so far I got 2 coats of the polyurethane on it. I have to sand this down now with the steel wool. I think it's 000 steel wool for the 3rd coat, and then that'll be the end of it. A couple of small bumps here and there, but the polyurethane I'm using is kind of old, so overall it's pretty good for what it is. It's not tacky or anything, and I didn't have to spend money on more, so I should have enough for this whole project for the rest of the cabinet and the other cabinet and top. Alright, just have to wipe the dust residue off. I'm going to put the 3rd coat on now, and I have to do it inside because it's Pennsylvania, so we had summer on Saturday and then it was winter on Sunday, snowing, and this morning this is Monday, no, today's Tuesday. This morning it was 26 degrees, if not colder, so I can't do this outside. It's only going to take me probably a couple of minutes to put the coating on there, so I'm not going to worry about using a respirator or anything like that. I'll just get done with this, and then once this is dry tomorrow or whenever, it's supposed to start warming up but be rainy, I'll open the windows and air the basement out. So let's get going on this. Okay, that's it. Once this dries, this will be done, and I'll be able to install the sink and the rest of the plumbing, the pump, and everything. Hopefully the weather gets at least nicer. Maybe I can do the outside of the cabinet also. Today I spent a bunch of time cutting and routing this kickboard, and I had that one board sticking out here. I cut that off even, and I did some reinforcing. I put a piece across underneath here, since I'm going to have the water and stuff here, so this doesn't bow. And then I fixed this cutout that I did for the toe tip before, and I just messed it up because of the way the van is and the floor and everything. So I just got a piece and glued it in there and put some brad nails in. And this is for the track in the van, so it's kind of there to the track, but it's off because of the way it was fitting in there. So that's good enough. You're not even going to see that side. And then I just stained the sides here, side and front. So I don't have an actual darker stain. I have really dark walnut stain, and then I had some oak stain. So because I messed up with the countertop and put the dark on there, I wiped it off, and then it was a little bit darker. So we wanted it to be a lighter color. So it is lighter than the backboard here. So this is completely different wood than this. So it's not going to look exactly the same, but I mixed a little bit of the dark stain with the lighter stain and did the sides and the front. I did the inside just because I thought it would look better. We're probably going to put a curtain or something across here to cover the water tanks in the gray tank. And then I did the fronts here because you're going to see this a little bit with the drawers. When the drawers are in there, you'll see it a little bit. So I stained the front boards there, and the kickboard on the bottom, and then this side. So that's today's accomplishments. I don't know if I'm going to put a second coat of stain on here. I'll let it see what it looks like after a couple of hours. I think it's 4 or 6 hours to put another coat on, but I think it's dark enough. I put 2 coats on this because I messed up at first. I put one coat of the light oak on there, and then I ended up messing up with the second coat, so I ended up going over the whole thing again. But I think this is good enough, and it's just the sides, so then I'll just let this overnight, and then tomorrow sometime or another day I'll start doing the polyurethane on the sides and the edges here and inside here. That'll protect the board down here too from water soaking into the wood if there's any water that spills. So that's that. The other thing I can do now while I'm waiting for that to dry is I can get the sink installed here, get the faucet on and the sink on, and then that'll be ready to go on the top here. And just got to kind of figure out how I want to attach the counter to this. I have these two boards here. I think I could put a screw up through here. I don't think it has to be bolted down too much, because it's not going to go anywhere. So here and here and maybe here, and I'll see if that is enough over here. I might have to put something over here. I don't know how I'll get to it. Maybe I'll put a board going across here. So I haven't figured that out yet. And then over here, I can either put a board across here for the counter. I might be able to, maybe I can put a pocket hole in here. I'm not sure if I can put a pocket hole in here and then have that go up through the counter. So I think that might work too. But that's further down the line. So whenever I come up with something that I think that's what I'm going to do, I end up changing it. I got one drawer done. This has a nice, it's not as dark as the backboard there. That's full out, the stain just right on there, and the backboard is the 2x4, and then these drawers were made out of the same stuff as the counter. So it's a different type of wood, but I think it comes off nice. It looks like a piece of furniture, and you can see the grain, as opposed to that is just really, really dark. You can see the grain on it, but it's just really dark. But I'm not gonna do a thing with it. I could sand it or something, but that's good enough. So I got two more drawers to do. Get those done. Let them out here to dry, and then tomorrow I could put polyurethane on everything. Okay, the three drawers are done. And I just set the counter on the top there, just to see how it looked. And I'll just get the sink in here. Today I'm putting the polyurethane on. I did one side already. And you can't tell too much because it's dark here, but it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to do this side. And then the framing and inside of the cabinet. Then I'll do the drawers. Before I put the second coat of polyurethane on, I want to install the sink in the counter so I can get that done, get the faucet and stuff on. So I'm going to do that now. This is a 15 by 15 bar sink or courtesy sink. And the faucet's going to go back here, so I'm just going to stick it in the hole here and get the bolts on it. And you just put these brackets, there's a long end and a short end, and you put the long end out for under your counter. I marked where it was before. I don't know if that's where it's going to end up being now, but once you get it on there and somewhat snug, you can center the sink then. I just realized I didn't put the plumber's putty around the sink. So I'm gonna have to flip this around and just sit the sink in place and then screw it in from the bottom. My plumber's putty is a little stiff, so I'm gonna knead it and heat it up a bit so that I can put that around in a bead. So it's still kind of dry. It is more flexible, but you're not going to be able to roll it too easily into strands to put around the sink. So I'm going to spray a little cooking spray on it and work that into it. Let's see how far this goes. I have another container that's newer, but I don't know if that's going to be dried out or not. Okay, definitely not going to be enough, so I'll have to get into that other can. Hope there's enough in there. So this newer putty was even drier than the old putty. And this old putty is so old that the writing on it is completely off of it. I don't even know what brand it was. I had to do a lot more kneading than I did with this stuff. And here's some of the residue. This was all on my hands. My hands were just completely a layer of slimy putty. And it's hard to clean off, so I did clean it a little bit with soap, and it was still all slimy. So I got some of my wife's mechanic scrub that she makes, and what do we got here? This is a gift set that we had set up for an event at one point, but this stuff works great. I've used it already on grease and stuff when I'm working on the vehicles, and I have some heavy grease and things on my hands. I did kind of a test. I cleaned out a exhaust fan by our stove, and it had some of the cooking oil in there, and I scraped that out, and that was so greasy and sticky. I never felt anything like it. You cannot wash it off of your hands. It probably would be good for waterproofing something. It was so sticky, and I got the mechanic scrub after scrubbing my hands a couple of times with Dawn dishwashing liquid, which usually takes off grease and oil. And this grease isn't like dark axle grease. It's just like a light colored grease you would expect to be able to wash off with Dawn. And it just was like, it was like slimy and sticky at the same time. And I use this mechanic scrub. Here's an older container that I've been shipping off of, and it washed it right off. I scrubbed my hands around and boom, done. So awesome stuff. So we have some of these left, and if you were looking at wanted to purchase any of them, I'm going to eventually put them up on my eBay account. They're just really, really great. So I got a bead all the way around here. Just made it over here. So put this into place and push that down in, stick that into place, and then we'll get to fastening it to the bottom. Okay, we'll get this into place here. I know exactly where it needs to be. Pretty straight. Let me look down from the bottom, and then we'll press it down. Okay, it seems to be pretty square. It's measuring equal on this side. On this side it's measuring equal to here. I think it's good enough for our purposes. So I'm going to start pressing this down. I wasn't seeing enough putty coming out of here, so I'm pressing it up into there since there's still a bit of a gap, and I'm forcing it up through there. That's just not down yet. That's where one of the screws, there's a screw holder here, and again here and here, and then there's two on the front. All right, I think that's gonna be good. And then I'll put the leftovers in my putty thing, and they'll be soft until they get hard. Okay, so I'm gonna put the wing nuts and stuff on. Well, that didn't go as planned. I pushed it all down, and I thought that that would stick on there because it seemed to be sticking pretty well, just sitting it there without pressing it down. Then I took the whole counter and laid it on the back, laid this part facing down so I can get to the screws in the bottom, and within a couple seconds the whole sink fell down through. So I had to redo the putty underneath, and then pressed it back in place again. It's probably a little better than it was anyway. I screwed the screws into the two front areas here, and that was holding it. Then I went and tipped it over and put one in the corner there. Then I was good. Then I just tightened them all until it wouldn't tighten anymore, and just gave it a little bit of a tug. So I didn't want to strip them because they're just cut metal. They're not solid wing nuts. And so now I'm going to take the excess putty off, and we'll see what it looks like around there. Hopefully there's no gaps or anything. It should be fine. I measured the front here, and that was even. The back looks pretty even. So overall, I think it's okay. Underneath the putty, there was a lot of excess putty underneath here, and I just pressed it against nicely all around. I figured there's no sense of taking it out, and I'm going to be getting new putty anyway, so just leave that in there, and if I ever need to do anything with this, I'll have extra putty there, plus it'll seal that around here. I'm just going to take this paint stirrer and just push along here and see what I come up with here. It's working well. The sink is pretty sharp, so it just sliced that right off. I might have to tighten them down again once they're squeezing for a little while, so I won't clean it up nice with the razor blade until I get done with that. So I'm going to put the second coat of the polyurethane on the cabinet, and then while that's drying, I'll put the faucet in and tighten these up first again, and then put the faucet in. Second coat of polyurethane put on. I put some on the back, even though I didn't do it before. I put a nice, not too heavy, but nice decent coat on the back there, and on these two beams here. I figured if I'm doing the majority of the cabinet, I might as well do all of it. My thought was at some point that this could be a standalone cabinet even at the campsite. If we take it out of the van for some reason, it could stand up like it is now, and we can use it that way. So I did the back also. Depending on what the temperature is in a little while, I believe the can said to coat a second coat after about 4 hours. It's not ideal drying temperatures out here right now. It's supposed to get into the 50s today, but I might just do the back anyway, because I don't really care if it bubbles up or does any funky stuff. And even the inside here. So I did the drawers too, so the drawers are done, and now it's onto the sink here. So I've got the faucet. I'm going to put this in. This is pretty simple. tighten these nuts a little bit. They're not moving. Oh, this one moved a little bit. Okay. So all you do is, this is going in the hole of the sink, rubber washer, stainless steel washer, and the nut. So this really isn't much of anything, but I'll show it anyway. I'm going to put it in this one that's on the outer part. This is the other end, going towards our bed. And I'm going to leave this hole. I'm going to put a cover over this, but I'm going to get a cover with a hole. And we have a drinking battery or rechargeable drinking spout. And I think I'm going to run that through there. And then this way we have that and the sink. Pull this out a little bit here. This faucet for some reason didn't come with the large silver washer. I got it from Home Depot. It seems like a really nice faucet, and it is good for, it's rated for potable water. It's got whatever the certifications are for potable water. So that's why I got it. Yeah. I communicated to the company, and they sent me, even though I asked them for the stainless steel washer, they sent me the bolt and the rubber washer, which I guess is fine. I could use the rubber washer possibly if this leaks or anything, but I mentioned that to them, and then they sent me that, and it was only within a couple of days, so that was nice. Okay, I'll just tighten that up. I'm not going to test it yet, but let's see how it looks. A little harder than I expected. This is kind of thick here, and I couldn't get my pliers in here to tighten this. So then I thought I would get a crescent wrench in here, and that's not fitting. So then I went with the sink wrench, and that wasn't being able to grab it. So then I went with one of these, which fit right over it. So then I was able to tighten it with the crescent wrench and hold the faucet and really crank down on it to squeeze that washer in there to make a nice tight seal. So I think it's really tight. So there's no way that, well, possibly you might be able to get this off without taking the counter off, but there's not a lot of space here. Let's see if you can get this. So you might be able to get this off if you needed to. I don't know why you would need to, but I just kind of think of those things. Having done sinks before, there's times when I'm like, how am I going to get this off? But okay, let's see what this looks like. I think it looks pretty good. It is a little, I don't want to say flimsy, but a little shaky. Not quite sure why. It is made for a double faucet, so maybe a double mount would be more stable, but I mean, it's as thick as it is, and it's screwed in here, over here, over here, and over here. So the only other way to do that would be to put a piece of wood going across here or something like that. But I mean, we're not gonna be hanging on this, so I think it's going to be fine, as long as it doesn't leak. Now I should look to get the drain in here. I have the drain that came with the sink, and then I have I don't know what to call it, but it's kind of like a camper or RV style trap. I'll put that on too. I've only been made aware of these in recent years. It's a razor blade made out of plastic, but it looks like it's going to work perfect for this. Right along here. It's not going to scrape the counter up. So if you're not aware of these, check them out. They're pretty cheap. The blades, I forget how much they were, but it was like $2 for 50 or something like that. So you can just use them and throw them away. They get dull. One of our 3D printers came with one. It was the one that we had bought used. I was already aware of them at that point, but they were using it, I guess, to take some of the plastic off of the bed of the printer. Now, unfortunately, this isn't going to fit in the back there, but I don't know that it matters all that much. I guess I can go like this. There we go. Okay, we're all cleaned up. Here's the drain that came with the sink, and there's a little stopper. I don't know how well that works, but maybe under pressure it'll work. We're not going to really be filling the sink up probably too often anyway, but and I got this flexible camper drain. Picture of it here. So open that up. So this should screw into the bottom of this drain here. Okay. And then this acts as a trap, so we don't get any smells coming up from our gray water tank. So the way that works is this bowl fills up with water, and then the inside of this, the tubing goes down inside of the water. So the hole is surrounded by the water inside this bulb, and then this goes in and then down, in and then down. So the water is as high as this pipe probably, and then the inside goes down just below this. It's kind of like a little mini septic tank. So that's what I'm dealing with here, and then they give you the attachment to go onto here. And then this is supposed to actually go, it's made to go onto the outside of your van or your RV, so that you can open this up and have it pour outside. That seems weird to me. I don't know that much about RVing and stuff, but I guess you could put a hose, I don't know if you could put a hose on here maybe to something outside. I mean, it's just gray water, so it's just going to be water with maybe some soap or something in it. No, it's supposed to be on the outside, and this screws onto your RV, and then you just let that pour out. So I'll probably take this off, or maybe affix this onto my, I'm going to use a 5-gallon bucket for now, but I want to get a clear plastic 5-gallon like a carboy or something like that, or a square one from like oil or something, and screw that into the top, so I can print something to bolt on over this if I can't find something to screw on there onto the lid. So yay, I have some of the putty that I cut off is enough to use for the plumber's putty down inside the drain here. They do have a rubber gasket on here, but it says to put some plumber's putty in there too, so I'll do that. Look at this. That's just random from the putty that was in there. I guess it's happy putty. All right. Okay, the putty in there, put the drain in. And then I'll get put this on the bottom, screw that in there. I think I need to get a wrench for that so that it's extra tight. It seems like it's a little off center. I'm going to clean that excess putty out of there first. Take a look at it. Give me plastic razor blade again. Alright, so yeah, you can see it's off a little bit. Let's see if I can straighten it out some. Probably just need to turn it a little bit in the loosen it a little bit, and it'll probably twist and not even loosen. Maybe it'll just shift it. Alright, here we go. Straighten it right out. Let's get the trap on now. Okay, I'm putting pipe dope on this, even though I don't think I need it because there's no pressure behind it, but since I have it, I'll put it on there. And this is an old can of the Odie brand white joint compound. It's 4 ounces. And it's almost empty. There's a little bit in there. I could probably scrape it out with something. This is a new one I bought just to have it on hand. They went from a metal can to a plastic can, of course. It is the same ounce, 4 ounces each, so that's interesting. You would think they would make this like 3.75 or 3.5. This does say made in USA. I don't know if this is still made in the USA. Made in USA, wow. Anyway, I bought this probably around the same time as the plumber's putty, so that's how this is how long this stuff, how old this stuff is. I would say the mid 90s, maybe late 90s, if I had to guess. Anyway, let's get this screwed on here now. Okay, that's pretty tight. It looks like it's almost all the way up to the top too. I don't know if I'm running into the bolt, the fastener on here, or if it's just... And this is coming out on the side that I would like, because I want the gray water here and the water tank here, so that'll work out well. Cool. cool.